Okay, so what we'll do is, firstly, thank you guys all for coming. I know everyone's kind of come from different places, come from work and all these places. But yeah, thank you for taking the time out to come to the manor. And yeah, hopefully we can have some discussion, which is fruitful, that we take something from this and we find some benefit. And not just that it leaves here, but that we can take something away with us and, start to change our life and live it, So yeah, first what we'll do is we'll sing Jai Radha Madhava. Are you guys familiar with Jai Radha Madhava? Yeah? Okay. So we'll just do that and then we can start some discussion. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Yashodanandan Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yashoda Ravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava 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 Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jai Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe Jaya, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Kulananda Shri Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Scrolling on the thing as I go down. It's short, it's like 2 lines purple, so thank you. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so thank you guys for all coming. So we'll be speaking on the Bhagavad Gita this evening. It'll be chapter 17, text 12. So what I'll do is I'll just recite the Sanskrit. And then I think what we'll do is, maybe to save some time, I'll just read the translation in the purple and then we can have some discussion. Okay, so Abhi Sandaya Tufalam Dambaratam Api Chaivayat Ijyati Bharata Shreshta Tam Yagnam Viti Rajasam. Okay, so the translation by Srila Prabhupada is, by the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride, O chief of the Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion. So the purport by Srila Prabhupada: sometimes sacrifices and rituals are performed for elevation to the heavenly planet, heavenly kingdom, or for some material benefits in this world. Such sacrifices or ritualistic performances are considered to be in the mode of passion. Okay. So we'll just recite some prayers first and then we can have some discussion. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Sharakaya Jakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so I'll just repeat the verse again, and then we can go from there. But the sacrifice performed by some material benefit or for the sake of pride, O chief of the Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion. Okay, so in this kind of part of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is near to the end of the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna is basically describing different modes, different categories in which you can classify different things that we kind of undergo in a day-to-day life. So for example, Krishna speaks about food. You know, we all take food each day. And Krishna speaks about that you can take food in different modes, okay? So you can take modes in the mode of ignorance, and Krishna speaks about this in chapter 14. He speaks about food in the mode of ignorance, food in the mode of passion, and food in the mode of goodness. So what this basically means for each and every one of us is that all our activities, we can actually classify what we're doing, which mode we're doing it in. And that may seem, what's the purpose of this? Why are we doing this? It may seem tedious. But an interesting thing Krishna says in the 14th chapter, what he says is the mode of goodness, it starts like poison, but it ends like nectar. Okay? We've all had some experience of that in our life, no? That we know something in the long term is going to be good. Okay? But we have to make some sacrifice for it, no? To be honest, it's actually an illusion, to be honest, to think that you don't have to make a sacrifice for anything. You know, even the things that we think are pleasurable and that will come quickly, we actually have to make a sacrifice for them anyway. You know, it's actually an illusion to think, oh no, I can just take this quickly. You actually still have to make a sacrifice for it. You know, so this point is that we can actually do things in different modes. So the mode of goodness, it starts with like poison. It requires some effort. It's difficult for us. But then over time, we start to see the results. The mode of passion is slightly different. The mode of passion, what it does is it has it's like a glimmer effect. And we experience so much passion in this world today. So much of the world that we live in is based on passion, you know. When we go to a city, I come from London, so I'm constantly kind of bombarded with posters, all these kind of things. But actually what it is it's the passion, because it gives you something which, if you look at it, it looks like it will give you pleasure, okay? But if someone looks with a bit more depth to it, they can start to see through that. They can start to see that actually the pleasure that's being given is very cheap, you know? We've all had some experience that where we see something and we can see it's actually a bit cheap, the pleasure that it's giving me. It's actually not going to give any depth or substance to me. And this is what we see by passion. And the real problem in our society is that so much of what we do runs on passion. And why is this a problem? Because passion starts like nectar and it ends like poison. Okay? So it looks nice at the beginning, but over time you realize, okay, wait, hang on a second. This may not be what I was looking for. And then we'll come on to ignorance, but here Krishna's speaking about that passion. He's saying, but the sacrifice performed for some material benefit, or for the sake of pride, O chief of the Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion. See, this is very interesting, the verse itself, because if you think about it, who doesn't want attention in this room? Just raise your hand. Does anyone in this room not want attention? No. So everyone wants some attention. Yeah. But what Krishna's saying here is that actually, if you do sacrifice, if you do work for attention, it's gonna look good first, you know, but it's gonna end in a place that we're not gonna want. Something which is so inherent in us, something that we feel is a need, but it's gonna not end in the right way, or it's not gonna end in a happy way. How can that be? You know? So it's really nice because what we have in these scriptures, these teachings, not only does Krishna give not only does he give the teachings in the instructions, because he's so kind, so what he does is he gives it in a story form as well. Anyone like stories here? Movies, all these kind of things, you know? Everyone likes to have some kind of plot line, you know? When I was younger, I always liked these storylines when it would be like, you could like follow a person's life and see their success story and all these kind of things. Because you then feel inspired by it. So similarly, we get this kind of thing in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam gives so many pastimes and stories where you see different people and you see, okay, what are they? What's their life situation? What are they going through? And then you see what the result is. You know, and so there's a similar pastime there's many pastimes that happen that this, but one pastime that is very well known is, and one that's kind of dear to my heart is the pastime of Indra. It's the pastime of Indra and when he the Govardhan hill lifting. And so what happens is with this pastime, Indra, he basically he's infatuated by this false pride. And we hear a lot of things. We may have heard, false pride, all these things that make sense. But what does it actually mean for us when we look at our mind, and what do we actually see, and what do we experience? I think that's quite an interesting thing. And one thing I was reflecting on was how the false pride, what it does is it makes you think that you're the center of the world. So one can think that, one can see that they're kind of struggling with this if they're always, all their mindset is concerned about themselves. You know? If one's always thinking about themselves, they can see that there's a lot of passion going on. And it's not to say that, okay, this is bad, or to eradicate or anything like that. No, the point is, if we can recognize it, we can start to see, okay, maybe there's another way I can get out of this situation. Maybe there's a better solution to the situation. So similarly, what happens, Indra, he's a demigod. So demigods are used to being worshipped. Okay, they're used to having this kind of respect to them. And what happens in this pastime is he doesn't actually get the due respect that he's been used to. Okay? Anyone experienced that in the room? When we've been given some kind of adoration, respect, and then after some time, maybe the friends go away and they don't respect us. Maybe we don't do so well in that work or service or any of those kind of things. You know? What happens in that? For me, what I found is there's some emptiness inside. You know? That there's some emptiness in our heart because we've been so much attached to the quickness of getting adored, getting appreciated, and then when that takes away, it really hurts. It really hurts inside. And so this is the poison that's being spoken about. And similarly, what happens in this pastime is Indra, he basically, with this passion, he naturally gets angry, as Krishna speaks about in the Bhagavad Gita. He says that from attachment arises lust, and then from this comes anger. Okay, so this anger, he then places it on other people. He then places his anger on the residents of Vrindavan. He places it on Krishna himself. The funny thing about all of this, he's meant to be, we're all meant to be servants of Krishna. But the interesting thing is that there's, I don't know if it's in Krishna book, but Srila Prabhupada basically says his viewpoint of Krishna is he sees him as a small little child. Who's this childish person talking? Isn't that amazing? We can be doing some activity and completely forget the reason why we're doing it. You know? And actually that's our whole life pretty much. You know? We've forgotten who we're doing it for, what we're meant to be doing it for. Because actually, the funny thing about all of this, Krishna can satisfy all our desires. It's not that we're trying to go on some impossible scheme, but actually it's that Krishna can satisfy all the desires. So actually what happens in this pastime is a very sweet pastime, because what then happens is Krishna basically, Indra gets angry, he gets frustrated, and he's kind of left alone. Krishna lifts the Govardhan hill to kind of teach Indra a lesson, but there's no direct interaction initially. But then what happens is Indra kind of realizes, okay, I've made some mistake here, and he feels a bit bad in his heart. And because Krishna's in each and everyone's heart, what happens is he kind of arranges a situation for Indra. And naturally, what would you guys think if you've done something wrong? Naturally, at least for me, the kind of natural instinct would be punishment. You know, you've done something wrong, punishment, all these kind of things. Krishna's not like that. Krishna arranges for a situation so that his devotee can actually come back to him, come back to his service. And so what he does is he goes to a place where he's alone. And what this means is that Indra doesn't have to kind of speak about it in public. You know, he doesn't have to speak of the embarrassment that he's been through of making such a huge mistake. But Krishna allows him to speak in a kind of confined environment so that it's only between them and, you know, no one else will really know what's going on, you know. So this is a really sweet aspect of the Lord that we're worshipping, is he's so kind and so forgiving that however big the mistake is, he'll always make arrangements for us to come closer, you know. And so then what happens is he goes to this place and not just that, but there's also one of Krishna's very pure devotees involved, the cow, the Surabi cow. And what actually happens is Indra doesn't make a direct proposal to Krishna, but he actually, the cow is used as like a means in a sense, so that he can be accepted again, basically. And so this is also very kind of instructive for us, is that anything that happens in our life, anything that happens in our devotional life specifically, but then not just that, our whole lives, but it's actually due to other people's mercy. And this is a very kind of strange concept. I was speaking to someone earlier, And we were speaking about kind of different situations that happened to us. And it was amazing to see that actually there's a lens, there's a vision that we don't see all the time. There's another vision that's going on which we may not catch on to so much. You know? We may come to see the deities, but there's another point to say, are we actually seeing the deities? Are we really seeing Radha Gokulananda in their real form? How much is the heart been pure so that we can actually see them? You know? And so this requires this cleansing. In our verses that when we chant the holy names, there's a verse, the first glory of the holy name is Cheto Darpana Marjanam. And it's actually so significant, this short stanza. But what it basically means is when we start to cleanse our mind, we start to see ourselves, we start to see everyone else clearly. And not just that, we start to see where our real happiness lies. Isn't that crazy? We start to see where our real happiness lies. And I'm sure so many of you have seen this in your own life. You may be seeing other people going through their lives, and you can just see, man, I can see whatever this person is going to do is not going to make them happy. And you can even tell them. You can tell them repeatedly. You can say, I don't think you should do this. I think you should look in this direction. And you can see it's not going to make them happy. But they can't see it. And even if they have some intelligence to see it, they won't be able to act on it. You know? They can try, but they won't be able to go through it. And this is the glory of chanting. This is one of the glories of chanting, that we can actually start to see where our real happiness lies. You know? And that's a big thing. Everything we're doing, if you look at our lives, everything we're doing is for some kind of pleasure or happiness. But we don't know where we're looking for it. You know? There's another pastime that with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it's this point of wanting attention, validation, adoration, all these things. The Lord actually gives it completely to His devotees. He gives it to His devotees in full. And when we start to practice this Krishna consciousness, we can start to experience that in full. In full. You know, and we don't have to be that sincere to be really honest. But just because of how kind Krishna is, He'll allow us to have that revelation. How personal He is. How even though that in the grand scheme of things, if you look at things logically, if we look at things very logically, I'm just a tiny speck in this one earth. I can just about conceive of, I'm one person in how many people in this world? Is it 8 billion roughly? Yeah. I can hardly conceive of that in my own mind. I'm one speck in 8 billion people. I can hardly conceive of that. But now imagine that there's millions and billions and unlimited universes just in this material realm like that. It's completely inconceivable to me. I can't fathom it. But the experience that we can have is that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, He's putting us in the center. That can be our own experience. You know? Our experience can be that the Lord is putting us in the center. We're trying to take ourselves out of the center, but the Lord is putting us in the center. So actually it doesn't have to be that difficult. If you've ever had a friend and they Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaunitai ki. Have you ever had someone in your life and they're always putting you first? They never ask anything from you and they're always putting you first. You know? Firstly, it's very rare. I'll just say that it's very rare, firstly. But when you have such people in your life, what happens in the life of someone? Anyone? What actually happens is, we're all very, or at least for me, I'm very selfish. But what actually happens is when someone's constantly being kind to you and constantly giving to you, after some time you start to think like, wait, what's going on with them? Like, I've never thought about them. They're just giving to me and I'm always accepting. But wait, have I ever thought about them, for example? So actually what happens is by being around people who actually have Krishna, we then start to develop a lens to get Krishna. And what I mean by this is that we start to take ourselves at the center, and we start to see, hey, maybe maybe this devotee is giving me so much kindness. Hey, maybe I should look at him. Is there any way I can help him? And over time, what happens is we start to be able to take ourselves at the center. And then on that process, taking ourselves at the center, we start to look at this devotee in this case. And the amazing thing about this is that in this pastime of Lord Indra, sorry, I'm kind of going a bit area, but I'll come back to the other pastime I was going to say. But this pastime of Lord Indra, what happens is that the Lord, he basically because Indra is with the Surabhi cow, he's with the pure devotee, Krishna actually accepts the prayers. You know? So it's not necessary that I can do things on my own strength. But because we have saints like Srila Prabhupada, because we have other saintly people in our environment, we're actually able to receive their blessings. Not just receive their blessings, but receive prayers from them. They can pray for us. They can pray to the Lord for us. And again, it may not seem so, it may seem like, do I have to externally go to someone and, I have to ask, can you pray for me? All these kind of things. It doesn't actually have to be like that. It's more subtle, You can actually, as we continue this process, there's another realm we can start to perceive, Anyway, that's another point. So we want to get in touch with people who actually are selfless, There's studies on this, and not just studies, but it's a very kind of general principle that we see in the world, but it's that you are who you associate with, And what does this mean about being who you are, who you associate with? It's that actually, if you see people who are happy, you're naturally going to want to spend time with them if you're not envious. If someone actually sees people who are happy, they would naturally think, hey, what are they doing that I'm not? I need some of what they have. Let me spend more time with them. I need what they have. Okay, let me go to them. Let me see what do they do in their life. Let me examine, okay, they go like this. Okay, what do I do? Is that something else I could pick up, and all these kind of things? So similarly, the way that we can actually start to change this passion is actually through spending time with people who we see they're actually genuinely happy inside, And then to this point of Krishna putting his devotees at the center, there's a pastime in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes where is everyone familiar with Lord Chaitanya, or am I just everyone's familiar? Okay, so I'm just making sure. There's a pastime with Lord Chaitanya where what happens is he's speaking with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is he's an impersonalist, and what this means is that he doesn't believe and doesn't have realization of the personal aspect of the Lord. And what happens is in this pastime is he sees Lord Chaitanya as a young sannyasi, and he thinks that, oh, I have to go and help this sannyasi. He's a young sannyasi, he can easily be bewildered. And he thinks he actually knows what's best. But Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Lord. He knows everything. Do you think he needs the help of anyone? He doesn't need the help of anyone. But what happens is, all the devotees are saying that, oh, we shouldn't spend time, that there's no point spending time with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. They maybe just say, okay, just let him be. But the Lord says, no, he served me with some kind of affection. He's done something for me. He's helped me in a time of need. When would the Lord be in need? The Lord won't be ever in need. But he sees that there's some affection from someone. And then he decides to change the heart of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And there's different ways we can do this. A lot of the times, at least for me, it's that we think preaching or speaking to people about Krishna is, oh, I have to go and I have to go directly speak to people. I need to go and I need to say my bit. Lord Chaitanya doesn't do that. Lord Chaitanya goes to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He sits there for 7 days. He sits there for 7 days and listens to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya speak philosophy which is wrong, or is wrong in the context of what he's saying. The philosophy is correct, but his context, his angle is wrong. And And wrong in the sense is coming from, anyway, yeah, we'll go into that. But he listens for 7 days. If someone speaks to me some kind of philosophy or something which is slightly wrong for a few minutes, my mind is just kind of like bewildered, thinking like, when can I get out of this? No? You can see someone's not saying something which isn't right. You start to get angry, or like you're thinking about, I need to make an excuse to get out of this conversation. The Lord sits there for 7 days to listen, So we can also feel, and we can also meditate that in this way we see how pride, we're looking for attention. We can also see that actually even in these situations, the Lord's in my heart and listening to everything that I'm saying and I'm thinking. Even the things that I don't like, even the things that may be more difficult for me to accept, but the Lord accepts it. Because He's always there. You're still breathing, no? You guys are still breathing. That means the Lord's there. So whatever bad things you've done, He's still always there. He's always ready to accept you. He's already accepted us, it's just we haven't realized that. And so then, in this pastime, he listens for 7 days. And then what happens is Saurabha Bhattacharya, he then says that, wait, you've listened to 7 days, do you not have any questions? Someone's listened silently for 7 days. One may think that they understood everything what's going on. But the Lord then basically, he basically says that what you said is right, but the context you said is wrong. It doesn't make sense. I can't understand the context you said it in. And then only when Saurabha Bhattacharya actually submits, does then the Lord actually then speak the truth. And another part of this pastime, this is one part of a pastime, but I say this part because it's relevant to another section where there's another interaction between Lord Chaitanya and Saurabha Bhattacharya, these two personalities. And what happens is that Saurabha Bhattacharya is now in a different place. He's gone to Jagannath Puri. And Lord Chaitanya is just coming to meet Saurabha Bhattacharya. And and when he meets Lord Chaitanya, when Lord Chaitanya meets him, Lord Chaitanya says, he says so many things, but one of the things he says to him is that we're all becoming Krishna conscious because of all of your previous Krishna conscious activities. Just think about it. The Supreme Lord, okay, He's coming in the mood of a devotee, and he's saying to someone who he converted himself into a devotee, he changed the heart of himself. He's saying to that same personality, being in your association makes me a devotee. How is that for putting someone in the center? How is that for making someone feel valued and appreciated? So when we also start to hear these pastimes more, then what happens is Krishna starts to get involved. He starts to get more involved in our life. There's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which says, Srimvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridaya Bhajrani Hridaya Surat. Thank you. And what the translation he says is that that for one who has some eagerness to hear my messages and who is honest, I help in that process of cleaning the heart. As we were saying before this Chaitudarpana Marjanam, Krishna actually is the one who's doing the cleaning. In the same pastime of Lord Chaitanya, when they're cleaning the Gundija temple, it said that all the devotees, they're cleaning the Gundija temple and they have some pile. When the Lord cleans the Gundija temple, His pile is greater than all the efforts of the devotees. What does that mean for us? It means that we make some endeavor, but ultimately it's the Lord who's doing the cleaning. Isn't that sweet? We make some endeavor, but the Lord actually is doing all the hard work. We may think we're making so much sacrifice, but we don't actually have to do so much. He's doing a lot more for us than we think, So it's very sweet, this kind of interaction. And so when we start to clean the heart, what happens is we can then see through this passion. We don't see things like that. And a lot of the times people think seeing things is, you can do some technique to see things. Like, we can read a book, we can get some intelligence, and then, we can work out this way. It's actually not like that. We see through our heart. We actually see through our heart. What this actually means is that we can't trick, we can't cheat.
and sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, you know. But we see through our heart. And what do I mean by that? We see through the desires of our heart. And this is so significant because what it means is that you get what you're looking for. Has anyone in life had a hard situation, a difficult situation in their life that they've been through? Yeah, I think most of us can say that. We've been through, and if not, it's probably coming. And the interesting thing about difficult situations is that not a lot of the time, it's actually that difficult situation is that it's something within us which has caused that situation to happen. It's not actually anything external, it's no one else doing something, but actually it's something that we've done which has caused that. And it can be sometimes humiliating, discouraging, and a hard pill to swallow, but actually it's for our best. Because when we realize there's something we can do about it, we can plunge into that. We can experience that. Wait, I experienced so much pain going through that. Why don't I just put some effort into the other thing? You know? And so this Cetodharpana Marjam, this cleansing of the heart, we then start to remove the passion in the heart and we can see clearly. And along with that, we can start to see what our real happiness is, and we can start to feel that in our heart. So by hearing these pastimes, these sweet pastimes that have been given in our books by Srila Prabhupada, you know, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then so many more after that, but just these as a start. By hearing these sweet pastimes, Krishna starts to get involved, and then we can start to let go of this passion. I think so. We have some time left. I was wondering if there are any questions, comments, corrections, criticisms. Yeah, please feel free.
Talk about the sacrifices performed for some material benefit.
Yes.
I don't know if it comes later in the chapter, but is it that any bhakti that you perform is above the three modes of material nature, and they're not even? So this is not really relevant to any sort of bhakti that you perform, but this is more explaining sort of symbolic things that you might do in your worship.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's different ways we can take the scripture, in the sense that bhakti itself, devotional service itself, is transcendental. Is above the three modes of material nature. But in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and what Krishna or Lord Kapila Dev is speaking to Devahuti, and what's basically happening is Lord Kapila Dev is explaining there's three modes of material nature by which you can perform devotional service in. So bhakti itself can be under the three modes of material nature. So what that means is that it's like a covering. It's like our consciousness is under a certain mode. You may, like right now, we're all under different modes, okay? Someone who's running about very passionate, the mind's going everywhere, that's more passionate. Someone who's a bit sleepy, a bit dull, tired, they're more likely in ignorance. One who's in the mode of goodness is alert, peaceful and alert and attentive, okay? And so we can practice devotional service under those modes. Bhakti itself is completely independent. And what happens is it's like the receptivity we are to that bhakti. So the mode of goodness, you're more likely to be very receptive to that bhakti. So you're going to get a lot more results from that. And not just that, does that make some sense? Yeah. The other thing about this is that you can have devotional service in the modes of material nature. There's two aspects to it. There's the actual activity. So for example, someone can be sitting very nicely, be very attentive, okay? And they can be chanting. But their motive in their heart is they want everyone else to look at them and think like, oh, look at how good this person's sitting. Look at how awake he is. So there's two sides to it. There's the external, and then there's also the internal mood of it as well. So that internal mood is the intention, why we're doing it. And Krishna also speaks about this in that same place. And what he says is that, and naturally we're going to come into devotional service with many different motives. That's natural. But what happens is when you engage in that devotional service, over time it gets purified. So the main thing is similarly in this verse that we were saying, Shrimvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana, that if you're honest about it, Krishna then helps to clean. If we're not honest about it, Krishna doesn't help to clean, because we don't want to actually see what's the reality. We're not honest enough with ourselves. We don't want to be honest enough with Krishna to say, hey, actually I do have other things I want. I'm doing this for another reason. But when we're honest, Krishna helps on that journey. And not just that, it's a very sweet exchange that happens. Because it's like you're going to someone for something and you're aware of it. But that person, then you see he's giving you so much. Your heart just melts. When you receive that, your heart just melts because you're thinking, why is this person giving me this? I've cheated him for so long and he's still giving me these things. Why? There's no reason. It's causeless. Yeah. Does that make some sense or not? Yeah, no worries. Thank you for the question. Yes.
And I had a text recently that as in the beginning of spiritual life, Krishna gives you the mercy, and then later on, halfway, the devotees have expectations from you. So does that change the dynamics of the relationship that you have from the beginning, where you're the center, and then you get responsibilities? So
Yeah. It's a good question. Let me just think one sec. Yeah, I think it's a text, it's by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I think it may be called Bhaktya Loka. I'm not sure. I think that's a text, but he basically speaks on a point where he says that everyone is at a different stage in devotional service. And what that means is that at each stage you have certain rules and regulations that you're kind of expected to live by and practice. So, for example, someone coming into the temple for the first time, you wouldn't expect them to be able to chant 16 rounds the next day. You know? That's not going to be an expectation. Someone who's taken vows, formal vows to a guru that I'm going to now, for the rest of my life chant 16 rounds, there's an expectation there that they should do that. But that expectation is actually one of sweetness and duty. Because if someone expects something of you, a lot of the time it may sometimes seem and hear like a pressure that I'm not accepted if I don't do this. It's not actually like that. The expectation is actually meant to draw us closer to him. Because what does it mean if someone has an expectation of you? Actually, it's because they actually think you're worth putting something in for. Well, maybe I didn't word that right. But what I mean is that if you have a relationship with someone and they see you have some potential, they may say, "Hey, look, you can do a bit more than this. I think you're better than this. I think you can go further," and they push you along. That's actually a sweeter relationship, no? Because they're actually seeing that wow. And you feel inside that, wow, this person actually sees maybe there's something bigger than me. Or maybe I think I'm very small, I don't think I can do so much, but this person sees that maybe I can actually do something in my life. So that relationship can also be very sweet. It doesn't have to be a burden, if that makes sense. It's just how we view that. Does that help, or you had more? Yeah.
So this verse says that sacrifice is for material benefit is in the mode of passion. So let's say there's some new person who comes to the temple. He wants to do something. Let's say he wants to start chanting Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna is also a sacrifice, Sankirtan Yajna. But he'll do it only for some material benefit. So that's going to be for sure in mode of passion. And in that short amount of time, we cannot uplift him to the mode of goodness, right? So what should we do? Should we make him do that in the mode of passion? Or should we not make him do that at all?
It's good. We just actually had a class and we spoke about this before, but it's good to that person engages in devotional service, because what happens is as they keep coming, the hope is that as you keep engaging in devotional service, Krishna says that yayata mam prapadyante, this point of I reciprocate as you come to me, So as the person keeps coming to the temple, we should encourage them in that way. And by them keeping coming, Krishna will then reciprocate. Reciprocation is actually different to, at least for me, it's actually not just like, there's like mercy or bliss or you're always happy. That's not necessarily reciprocation. Reciprocation from Krishna can sometimes be, he shows you certain things, what you're like. You know? He shows you, oh, you're like this. Because we can't see it a lot of the time. Reciprocation can be Krishna showing you, you're actually like this, you behave like this. That's Krishna's kindness. So similarly, when that person will keep coming, they'll start to, they'll over time receive the knowledge and the awareness. Krishna's saying that I'm giving you all knowledge. They'll start to see, okay, maybe I've been doing this for the wrong motive. And then the question is, do they then question it? And if they're sincere, which is their choice, but we have to create the right environment for them to be sincere. And that environment, that foundation environment, is one of unconditional acceptance. So if that's the initial mood of this unconditional acceptance, then what happens is then that person is more likely to keep coming. And then when they hit a block in their devotional service where Krishna may show them, hey, you're like this, or maybe there's some difficulty, what's then the response? The response will naturally be that they can open up to the devotees. They're not going to hide it, they're not going to push it under. But because they feel accepted, they can say, hey, I'm experiencing this, I realize I've been doing this service, but actually, I'm just doing it to get all the books out, you know? Or I'm singing the kirtan and I want everyone to look at me. I'm giving the class and I want everyone to glorify me after. So it's like that. But Krishna will give that vision, and then if we can be open and sincere about it, then, you know, we can then start to try to work. Does that help? Or, thank you for the question. Anyone else have any questions? Or we can end. No? Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Oh, you had a question? Oh, sorry. Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananti Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we'll be having Arti in about 4 minutes. So yeah, if you'd like to stay, then please feel free. And so what we'll have is we'll have the ladies on one side and the men on the other. And yeah, the curtains will close and we'll have, oh yeah, Gaura Arti is on the board. So yeah, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Ka Shobha. Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Ka Shobha. Nana Vidata Vare Jagamana Lobha. Nana Vidata Vare Jagamana Lobha. Sakhi Nene Kai Kai Rame Gadadara. Ekate Advaita Shrini Vasa Chatadara. Osi Ache Gaura Chan Ratna Simhasane. Dosi Ache Gaura Chan Ratna Simhasane. Arati Gorena Brahma Adi Devagane. Adonai.